I am with Green MP from Auckland, Waiheke Island resident, Denise Roche. Good afternoon to you.
Talo Falava.
That's perfect. Tell us about yourself.
So I've been a Green MP since 2011, November, and my portfolios include industrial relations, immigration, ethnic communities, refugees, waste, arts, culture and heritage, Auckland issues, and a few others as well, including gambling.
Of course. And so you mentioned also you are the spokesperson for Auckland.
Yeah, Auckland issues.
Auckland issues, right? We'll come back to that because Auckland is a big issue, isn't it?
Yeah, there's some significant issues going on down in Auckland. Yeah.
But let's just touch base now with the refugees. Big problem in the world. We have a quota of 750. The government's upped it to 1,000. What is the Green policy for refugees?
Well, I've got a bill in my name, which is in the ballot to double it to 1,500.
Right.
Basically, because since 1987, the refugee quota has been set at 750, and during that time, the population in Aotearoa has increased by 43%. So per capita, even raising it to 1,000, we haven't kept up. There's over 60 million people displaced through war, persecution, and those kinds of really terrible civic disturbances. So there's 60 million people displaced in the world at the moment, which is the biggest since World War II. So we're not doing our bit. Just increasing it to 1,000, the government has said that won't take effect until 2018-19. And so we've got to wait a couple of years to do that a little bit more, when actually we know that we're not even stretching. We could be going to 1,500 now.
1,500, 2,000, 3,000 really doesn't it's a drop in the ocean when you're considering the numbers. 60 million, did you say, displaced in the world?
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, it is. It is a drop in the ocean, but it would make a significant difference. And even increasing it to 1,000 does make a significant difference to those 250 or 750 people who need a safe haven, because that's what they're escaping. They want somewhere to come that's safe. And proportionately, compared to our size, 1,500 would take us up from the bottom to, like a little bit better. Yep. Even Australia is doing better than we are. They're doing like 3 times better than we are.
What about, we had Winston Peters come up with a couple of weeks ago with a suggestion, and now followed by the Act, Kapa'ari, that the refugees should be vetted and questioned and make sure that they fit in with the New Zealand values. Is that something that you would subscribe to?
Well, actually they are vetted. The refugees that New Zealand takes through the United Nations Human Rights Council, so they're already vetted before they're even gone into selection. Then they're vetted again before they're chosen to come to New Zealand by the UNHCR. Then they're vetted again by New Zealand Immigration. So by the time they get here, they've already basically signed up to the values. I think the thing that worries me about that is that it's kind of a license it's a license to attack people who are a little bit different. And I don't want to go down that track. That's the racist route, and we're totally opposed to that.
Now, refugees, housing crisis. We have one in the country right now.
Yeah.
How are we going to sort of solve that? Or, we already have a housing crisis with people sleeping on the street.
Yeah, you're
and
right.
then 1,500 refugees to come on top.
We can do and.
Okay.
Not one or the other. We can walk and chew gum at the same time. So it comes down to government policies. We absolutely have to be acting on the housing crisis, particularly in Auckland, where we know that we have, Pacifica families who are living 3 or 4 families to one house, people in garages, people in cars, people on the streets. So what that is the result of is poor economic management from this government over the last 7 years. Essentially what they've done is they have created a situation where we don't have enough homes for our people. Yeah. So our solutions include things like a state building program, ensuring that our younger people, our good, young Pacifica families are able to afford to buy their own homes. Now, we used to be a country that did that, but currently, at the moment, the state housing that we've got available is about the same amount that we had in 1949 when we first started a state housing program, just a few years after that. So we have not kept up with the increasing population, and we certainly haven't had a government that's actually intervened to make sure that our people can afford to buy their own homes, and that the housing stock is decent, and that they can afford to rent those homes, decent homes.
Is it a realistic dream, though, to return to those days of old, considering that now the average house in Auckland is close to $1 million?
Yeah, I know, and I mean, it's a kind of complicated issue too, because, there's a whole bunch of people who are going, oh, I'm sitting on my property and the value has increased to this, so I don't want to see this bubble burst, but this bubble will burst. And one of the interventions that the government could use, and that we totally support, is to end the speculation on housing.
Right.
And that's what we've got going at the moment. So our policy is that homes could only be bought by people who are permanent residents and citizens. And that there needs to be a very strong capital gains tax to stop the speculation, because the speculation is part of the thing that's driving that massive spike in housing affordability.
Right.
So we need to do that, but also we need to increase the supply of houses, and that's where a state housing building program needs to come in. Just leaving it to the market is never going to work for everybody, and certainly not for our most vulnerable people.
But the government would say that they have provided 12,000 new houses in the recent years. So they would say that they are actively solving the housing crisis.
The government provision of houses, they've also, we've also got a huge amount of housing that they've run down, that they're not putting people into. They're putting people into motels. Yes. Rather than putting them into houses, because they want the market to be able to deliver, and it's just not working. So, they're not doing enough. They're certainly not doing enough. They're leaving it to the private sector to do it. That's what they talk about when they talk about house building. But actually, we believe the state has a responsibility to look after all people, and particularly our most vulnerable.